All right, guys. I'd like to talk about exposing the heel hook now, or the principal leg that we would attack by a dilemma. So again, rather than digging in my elbows and focusing on winning a hand fighting thing, that again, I really does not work great against really experienced people. And two, is absolutely, generally speaking, going to put you at significant risk in fighting. So carry on doing it. I don't really care if you get punched in the face. But for me, I would prefer not to get punched in the face. So I'd rather have these that could be here out doing face defendy stuff. And again, something to keep in mind: you have very, very narrow resources. Maybe you're melon, depending upon how you want to use it. Only difference is in fighting, it's also a target. Every single one of these guys that you send out to do something, it's an opportunity cost. So even if this guy's going to help me get the heel hook, you got to wonder, was it worth it? Every time I spend $5 over here, it's not just that I spent $5, it's that I didn't spend $5 over there. So we need to keep in mind that the opportunity cost of our limbs is a very real thing. And in something like fighting, where Shazam can happen real quick, and particularly as you reach the upper echelons of fighting, a lot of people can crack. It's definitely something to consider. So if we come back, when I'm on top, if Adam opens his legs, I don't need, if like your triangle, I'm sorry about that. So sitting in here doing this stuff is not really going to get me a whole lot of mileage. Again, I can't overstate how everything works on people that suck. It's not an app, and people with less experience. And again, I suck at the vast majority of everything, so I'm not above that or anything. But when I don't have a lot of experience, all sorts of things can work. And what I want to do is make sure that I'm spending as much time doing things that work, period. They work in principle. They work full stop against everyone, provided that I execute them properly, rather than saying, yeah, if this guy's a total goof, I'll be okay. I don't want to accidentally or intentionally rely on that. Open your feet, please. If Adam's opening his feet, I can just drop back and catch him. Describe the feeling right now.
Feels like there's a lot of torque on through my foot and knee. I don't feel like I can actually bend my leg at all.
What upper body submissions does this feel like?
Feels almost like an Americana or a kilo, or more.
Exactly. Point of contact A, fulcrum, lever. You can't feel it. You can't see it. You can only feel it. You can see it to a certain extent. But how about now?
Now I feel like
zero. Okay, how about now? Notice, remember, we're on a magazine now. Is there anything?
No.
Nothing.
Yes.
Invisible jiu-jitsu is kind of how it works. So again, if I'm doing something egregiously wrong, you can see it. If I'm doing something that looks right,
I can move.
Yeah, yank me that way. Oh man, this move doesn't really work. Yank me that way.
I can't. I don't even want to try.
Exactly. So again, just because you saw it not work, or it didn't work for you, or something else, doesn't necessarily mean that this or any other technique doesn't function properly. The vast majority of people are doing the vast majority of things wrong the vast majority of the time. Something to consider. So anyway, if Adam is got his legs triangled and protected, and I'm going to myself, man, whether it's fighting or grappling, I sure wish I could footlock this guy. Well, what if I sit down and start digging my elbows in? Well, what have I given up? I've given up my positioning. I've given up top. Again, does that matter? Maybe he's terrible on top, and I have 45 minutes to try to get the heel hook in a sub-only match. Yeah, I probably won't get made to pay for it against most people. If that was Lucas Lepre, I'd be real sorry that I just let him on top of me. So if we come back up, what if I slide in and I go leg drag across? What was this doing for you over here?
I was acting as a shield, stopping your chest from coming forward.
Absolutely. It's controlling space, distance. So, and distance is as the potential attacker, is my enemy. So I'm like, man, this sucks. Is this enough to stop me from chinning you?
Not right now.
No. So in order to stop both of those threats, you'd need even more distance. So it's not distance didn't work. Some distance took care of this pressure threat. More distance takes care of me reaching. So when I step my leg across and I start to threaten, this is now what's blocking me. But is that enough to stop me from covering your hip?
No.
Not really. So if you'd like to get your knee and everything back in play, how are you going to do it?
I have to create space, open my knee, and reset this.
He sure does. Lock your triangle and do that.
I can't. I need to put my left foot on that.
Let's look over here. So if you lock your triangle, please.
There's no way I'll be able to rotate. I need to be able to put my foot on the mat to create a little bit of pressure.
Absolutely. So who opened your triangle? I did, right?
Mm-hmm. I did if I want to get out. So you put me to a choice, which was stay here or try to escape.
I put you to a choice. This is the dilemma. Adam gets a vote. We see this all the time in martial art. Go on YouTube or Instagram and watch people show like this super cool 19-step move where I'm like, the other guy didn't do anything. You know, in real life, people fight back, man. Like, that's why we all joked karate back in the day. And karate's rad. It's just if you train it like a goof, where the other person doesn't get any say, then you're going to tend to struggle. It's no different than I do 19 close guard steps and you don't do anything. I'm like, yeah, everything works when you do it like that. So here I am, and I've created the situation where Adam's defense, his principal lower body defense, is out of the way. Try to invert. If you invert, please, and he successfully gets his butt in the way, I find myself having to do something else. We're not in a leg lock situation. If we come back, how do I stop that invert from happening?
You smother my hips and make it difficult for me to
get on top of his hips. If I'm back here like this, his butt has space. One, you could sit up, and a good grappler like Adam oftentimes will. He's immediately going to re-attack me there. If you notice, go through that sequence. I'm like, uh-oh. Yikes, that went from pretty good to pretty bad for me real quick. If we come back, scoot this way here. This time just invert. What was in the way of his butt? Nothing. So if he elects to invert, he inverts. Again, the vast majority of people are doing the vast majority of things wrong the vast majority of the time. So if we come back, I'm like, okay, well, he's not going to bring his knee across. He'll just invert. Yeah, when I don't pass good. But now I'm in the way. Now invert.
I can't.
Why not?
You're smothering me.
Yeah, what's in the way?
Your chest, your hips, your shoulders.
What about that?
Yeah, still blocking my hip.
Still blocking. What about that?
Yeah, still.
We're starting to get a little esoteric and weird, but why can't you invert?
Because you're blocking my hip.
What if I ask the camera guy to come over and fucking hold your hip down?
Then I wouldn't be able to invert.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to invert, right. So it doesn't matter what it is, provided that I'm here. So now Adam decides to go, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll frame this guy out. And let me get this back in the way. I'm like, wow, that was sure effective. And now we can drop back into threatening the leg, which again makes you now want to do what? Aha! And then we come back up. And then you turn to your hip and get that thing back in the way. And we go, gotcha. And then he turns and we go, gotcha. And my leg could either dance from outside to inside or outside to outside. What's your move here? So what I want you guys to think about is I don't want to spend the DVD series showing 95 different potential sequences. You can figure out that on your own, and ultimately there's going to be a lot of variance based on what the other guy does. However, your ability to create a true dilemma, not like I've got a knife that's actually a banana and a gun that's actually a squirt gun, neither of which are actually threatening, or I've got a real gun and a banana, or a real knife and a squirt gun. I have two very real threats opposing one another. And if I can get you caught between the two, even if you're very, very skillful, you're going to tend to struggle there. So the trick again is opening and exposing the heel hook and your opponent's defenses by a dilemma as often as we can. And when we develop the skill and the ability to do that, not only will it function with or without punches, but beyond that, you will be able to be more effective and less effortful because you're going to be doing a heck of a lot of this and a lot more thinking about where you can move yourself in space.